my stories mostly have to do with my best friend, Steve Collier. Back in 1979, I had a black silk Cheap Trick baseball jacket. Got it at Highland Mall. And I walked into my job at the Village Cinema 4, and this previously very quiet usher named Steve came over and he said, "That's a nice jacket." And I said, "Thanks." This is like an epic conversation for us. So we eventually did start speaking more than one or two syllables to each other, and we started to talk about music a lot. We would talk on our breaks. We'd sit in Steve's Camaro, which I think was purple, and we would talk about how great Devo was. We were really excited about this. And then one day, we were outside of Cinema 2, and Steve said, "Well, you want to come see my band? We're playing on Tuesday night." And I said, "Okay. What's the name of your band?" He said, "The Big Boys." And I said, "Okay, great." And so he told me to go to this place called Raoul's. The night comes, I get there, walk in the door, and look around and sort of see all these characters and this sort of what I later sort of understood was kind of a complete world with its own rock stars. And I looked up on stage, and the band that was up there was introducing themselves as Kmart and the Shoppers. They were big boys, they were big guys, they were all in drag, and my friend Steve was on drums in a dress and mascara. So, I'm a 17-year-old Texas suburban guy, and that was a little shocking, but I kind of rolled with it. I brought my camera. It was the first punk show I saw, and also the first punk show I photographed, and I took a picture of the singer, and he caught my eye, and then he stuck out his tongue just for me, and I thought, well, he saw me, he recognized me, or he invited me in, basically. So I took his picture, and it was great. It was really fun, and over the next couple of months, I became a regular at Raoul's and started going a lot, met a lot of people. Steve, as happens with these things, Steve didn't stay in the Big Boys forever. He was with the group for maybe a year or so, 6 months. And he eventually left and formed a group called the Capris, which became Doctor's Mob. But by this time, a lot of things had changed. And one of the things that I think was clear about punk was that it was kind of a year zero thing, right? You didn't talk about old music. You didn't, discuss things that were old because everything was new and you wanted to do something new and different. That kind of changed along about 1982 or so, in my reckoning. But there was 3 records that came out about the same time in '82. There was a record called Days of Wine and Roses by the Dream Syndicate. Then there was a record by the Gun Club called Fire of Love, which blew my mind. It's like a blues punk sandwich, but I love it. And then there was Walk Among Us by the Misfits. And a lot of my friends loved the Misfits, but they were extreme. They were theatrical. And everybody was excited when we found out that the Misfits were going to come to town, except me. I decided that I needed to wash my hair that night, or maybe I needed to stay home and listen to Bauhaus a little bit, but I didn't go to the show. I think, I don't know what time they played, but I think at midnight they were on, and some little thing twisted in my head, and I thought, I made a big mistake, I should have gone to this show. So the next week, I was scrambling around to talk to everybody I could. What were the Misfits like? What were the Misfits like? And they all said almost exactly the same thing. It was the loudest fucking show I've ever heard. And they were so terrible, they were so horrible, they were just like Kiss. So I'm asking everybody, I'm desperate, it's wow, I wish I'd have gone. Finally I get to my man Steve and I say, "Steve, how are the Misfits?" He's like, "They were so great. They were just like Kiss." That's pretty good. I think I'm under time.
There you go.